Good evening. My name is Jay Rothman. I am the host of the show. Welcome to Real Men, Real Talk, Live. Welcome back to the show, to the studio. I want to take a moment here to introduce my co host this evening. Coming in from, the United States tonight, we have Sunwolf, a special guest joining us. We have Chris Morrison joining us from also the state of Arizona. Tonight, Arizona is representing Real Men Real Talk Live tonight. We may have a surprise guest joining us a little bit later in the broadcast this evening. However, Avery is unfortunately is taking a night off due to circumstances that he's working through in this present moment. However, I want to also take a moment to welcome our viewers back to episode 186. Tonight's show is all about, are you squeezing the juice out of your life? And I'm so honored and excited to have Sunwolf join us this evening because that's what he does. Sunwolf is a beautiful man who I met when I first moved to Arizona, and he's taught me a lot about squeezing the juice out of life. And what impresses me the most about this beautiful man is that he's not like 25 years old. He's 72 years old, and he is still squeezing the juice out of life, from my perspective, every single day. So before we go there, viewers, if you should have any comments or questions, feel free to jump in and drop them down into your comment section. And also, we always invite you to share the show out, the link to your friends and family. But as we're about to jump into this episode, this topic was one Sunwolf and I had talked about a few times, having him come in to the show and this be the topic. So, Sunwolf, since this is really your passion in life, what does squeezing the juice out of life mean for you and to you? And
Great
welcome to Real
question.
Men Real Talk Live.
So honored to be here, Jay. Thank you so very much. Squeezing the juice out of life, for me, is squeezing the moment. Because life is only about the moment. There's nothing really to do or pursue. So I expand this metaphor and this mantra to squeezing the juice out of life no matter what. No matter what. And it keeps you young. It keeps you hungry for life. It keeps you engaged. And it keeps you alive.
I want to ask you, Sunwolf, you've been a viewer now for some time
Yes.
of the program. And how does it feel to know that right now we're live, we are on the air, we're broadcasting across the globe, and now you are not a viewer, but you are actually a real man on this show tonight. What does that feel like for you to be here? I'm just curious.
Well, that's a great question. I feel elated. I feel so much gratitude. But this is very, very special because when I was young, I wasn't seen. I wasn't heard. Uh, no one could really understand me. So all of a sudden, I'm invited as a guest to be able to share life experience, the keys to joyful living, and to be heard, and to know there's people out there listening, and I'm not alone anymore. But when I was alone, I had my solitude. That was my saving grace. That solitude.
We're going to go there in a few minutes, but Chris, what did you just hear? What do you make of what Sunwolf said? And how does it work in your life today? What does it mean for you, squeezing the juice out of life?
It definitely shifted when he said, just what I heard there is just presence, right? Like everything comes down to presence, being in this moment right here, right now, and not getting stuck in our past, or not ruminating over our past, getting stuck in the future, just full living the moment, which for me is as close to the universe, as close to the my higher power as I can get, being in this moment.
Hmm.
I'm just pausing here because how many of us spent decades chasing a dream, chasing what we believed we needed to be doing to feel good about ourselves? Whether it was believing that, you go to university, you get a job, you get your first loan on a vehicle, you get a place outside of mom and dad's, you learn how to support yourself. And then we are all seeking love, we're all seeking companionship, we're all seeking to be seen in our own home as an adult. And then we get into some of us producing children, so on and so forth. But how many of us, as we're chasing that dream, find that we're falling short? We don't have the time to even connect with ourselves. We're too busy taking care of either other people, taking care of a boss, taking care of clients, taking care of a wife, taking care of children, taking care of friends. Am I speaking a language that either one of you guys are understanding? Like how true is that?
Oh
Totally.
man, go for it, son. Wolf.
Oh my God, are you speaking a powerful truth, Jay? Mamma mia. Okay, so I was a lost soul, but I did say to my mom, I don't want to play the game. I want to make a difference. And I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I really don't know, but all I want to do is help people. And my mom said, well, go to university. And that's what I did, thinking I'd find something at the end of that rain. But it was devastating, disappointing. Went for job interviews, didn't wear a suit and tie, wore nice clothes, ended up conducting the interview, and I realized, what the freak am I doing here? I do not want to be dehumanized. I do not want to be a cog in the wheel. And I went home and I went into my own inner journey, and I decided that whatever I do is got to represent who I am. 6, 7 months unemployed, trying to figure things out. Walked into a health food store and I went, wow, that changed my life. That was over 51 years ago. So I'm so grateful that I didn't play the game. I'm so grateful that I realized at a very young age that it was really important for me to have what I do match who I am, to create that dovetail and all the kinds of conversations that I would have was so meaningful, so profound. So I'm so blessed and so grateful that I did miss a beat there.
What did that provide for you, Sunwolf? As far as when you walked into that health food store of sorts, how did it change your life forever? Would you say?
Well, I've always been a truth seeker, and I went, oh my God, I could learn something here. Oh my God, I could eat something that's really nourishing. Eat sunflower seeds, high in protein, low in carbohydrates. Eat it instead of cookies, cakes, candies that have little or no nutritional value. We had these little sayings, and it just resonated. So the magic is all about coherence and resonance. That which we are doing through the day, is it really opening up our heart? Are we making a difference? Is it fulfilling our life purpose, my life purpose? I'm just so grateful all the time. And the key is never take anything for granted. It's not a lucky thing that happened. I think it came from clear intention and fortitude and realized I was not going to acquiesce to something that didn't fit, and money would not buy me. Not at all. Had nothing to do with it. So I didn't have the fancy cars. I didn't work like a mad fiend. uh, I recognized my dad, who I loved him to bits. He worked so hard, so hard. And I said to myself, I do not want to work so hard. I want to work smart, and I want to create a love affair with what I do with my vocation.
Do you have siblings?
I have 2 brothers and a sister.
Okay. And were they in alignment with the path that you took, or did they not understand you?
No, they didn't understand me. They didn't understand me. Why can't my mom used to say, bless my mom, why can't I have a normal Jewish boy? She said to me, I remember when I was very young, one day when you grow up, you're going to have a nice big house. You're going to have a family, and you're going to have a good job. And I said to my mom, this was in my teens. I said, Mom, who said that? I didn't say that. But one thing I have to give credit to my mom, she did support me in some ways. But she did lash at me in other ways, and she belittled me and demeaned me through her very anger tone, which gave me the opportunity to really go inside, since I didn't have many friends, to go inside and cultivate this beautiful love affair and friendship with me. I did not want to be in this vibration of anger all the time. She was bipolar. We didn't know what it was at the time, but what we did know is we didn't know who were we going to see. One that was gracious and appreciative, or one that was very angry and upset and saying things that were very cruel. And it was very, very difficult for me at first. It's like I bottled it up, and then I started to adapt to it and really come to terms with it. But here's the big piece. I learned compassion. Compassion is so key, because my mom, not that I gave her license to speak to me like that way, she went through the Holocaust, my parents. My mom lost her whole family. So she's been angry for most of her life, very angry and upset. So when we know it, everyone has their life, their journey, it's really understanding where they come from. My father gone through a lot. I've never seen pictures of my grandparents. My father lost a brother in the war, but he's the antithesis in that he always expressed love and joy. And if he met you, Jay, he would say, tell me a little bit about you. I'm curious. I'm interested. So he was a phenomenal gift, an incredible man that you would never know has gone through what he's gone through. So there's gifts in adversity. There's tremendous opportunity. And by me spending so much time by myself, with myself, I was able to unravel some powerful gifts and meanings of life and what is life, and how to
Chris,
navigate.
go ahead, Sunwolf. Wrap it up.
That's basically, and how to navigate.
Chris, I don't know about you, man, but there's just so many nuggets, and man,
Yeah.
like, wow. Well, I'll stop. I'll stop by sharing this, Sunwolf. Welcome home to Real Men, Real Talk Live.
Oh.
It took us less than, I don't even know how long we're in this. We're 14 minutes, 13 minutes in, and you showed vulnerability as a man, a real man. You spoke your truth. And wow, that's why we do this show. We all have a story to share. We all have a story that includes pain. We all have a story where we have experienced love is pain, love is judgment, love has expectations, love has conditions. But what impresses me so much about you is with all that adversity that you went through in your younger years, and even in your adult years, um, somehow you overcome. Somehow it appears as though you step into it with what I love to call dignity and grace. It doesn't mean it doesn't get sloppy. It doesn't mean that sometimes uh, we pause. Doesn't mean that sometimes we don't have to get our car washed, cleansed. I'm talking about right here,
Mm,
the heart.
mm,
When we experience what feels like judgment or conditions, or and it kind of brings us back to what I call the core wounds from my childhood of I'm not enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not good enough, I'm not handsome enough, I don't matter, I'm not a priority. And if you grew up in a home where there was any comparison between you and your siblings, that also impacts us. Chris, what are you making of all this, brother? What are you hearing from Sunwolf tonight? Wow.
Oh man. Going back to what you just kind of said, of just that it always, um, I don't know, just feeling like that, I didn't have the terms back then, but just less than that, that there was always something better out there in the world than me, you know, that there was always seeking behaviors in the household that let led me to believe that I wasn't worthy, that that I wasn't enough or I wasn't worth it. So, uh, and it's just amazing in that like you found that residence so quickly and early. Because I spent the last 20 years thinking that if I just got this position or I was working this project and,
There you go.
I chased that. God, I chased that. Um, I didn't go the degree route, right? And so I have a little bit different story, but Jay and I's stories are pretty
mm,
close in how I went about life and chased, I had to be the best. I had to be the best,
mm.
in the world at what I did. And then I remember sitting, getting that title, sitting on that meeting and going, "Oh, literally as I'm sitting there talking to, people in Japan about how they need to change the wing for this airplane." I was like, and this is it. At 35, I've reached the absolute pinnacle of what this existence is going to be.
Mm.
And everything just kind of like the glass castle just started to kind of crack around me, man. It was just like, oh, all right. Well, now what? And I'm just now feeling like I'm coming into what is that? What is that residence, internal residence actually going to be um, where I am enough,
Mm.
where I can be who I am and not be seeking and not be, you know, playing the game, like you said, chasing things. Um, but yeah, uh, I see Monica asking what's my background. I was one of the designated experts for composite manufacturing for Boeing. I was one of the lead people in the country, really in the world, for making tooling for aircraft. I put stuff in space
Hmm.
at 18. Before I had my high school diploma, I was putting stuff in space.
Wow.
So just to give you a little background there, but
Wait a minute. Wait a minute, man. Wait a minute. How's that possible? Did you have a parent or a relative in a high position that got you access to that level of
no,
respect?
man, no. Creation, cosmic creation, and then just I spoke it into existence. I'm going to go work for Skilled Composites, and I am going to work on the next spaceship program for them at 18, 19 years old. And I just spoke into creation. It's so crazy, Jay, because like I was such a powerful creator, and I made that happen, and then I forgot that I was possible,
Hmm.
and I
Well,
forgot that it
tell
was
me more. What does
possible.
that mean? You forgot that it was possible. What does that mean? What did that mean for you? You forgot that what was possible.
My power of creation.
Hmm.
What I say, what I think, and what I do create endless possibilities of what I want it to be. That I am the creator of my existence. I am the divine in myself, and I am here to experience myself through how I create everything, every moment that I am in. And I
Yeah.
forgot. I
Wow.
simply just forgot.
How does that happen? Do you have like a late night of too much alcohol, or do you
I mean, there was a couple of those. I mean, there was like,
do you get
oh,
distracted with making babies and all the responsibilities as an adult male, or is it that you was there a defining? I guess what I'm asking. Let me retract that. Are you aware of what that defining moment was when you forgot that?
no. I'm not that I haven't thought in that way. So, a great question. I don't have an answer in this moment. Um, yeah, I don't have an answer in that moment, but I think that now, thank you for the question. Now that's hopefully
Mm,
it'll be something, but I definitely I just
mm.
it's I look back over my life and I see all these things that my speech created.
Okay.
Um,
I want you to
and
understand, Chris, why I asked you that question. Wow.
Mm.
Because when that answer comes through you, that moment of clarity, that wisdom that will come through you, you don't have to beat yourself up anymore. In that moment, you honor that part of yourself. You hold that part of yourself. You forgive that part of yourself that lost yourself in that. That's how we heal as men. That's how we heal as women. That's how we heal as society. It's about not blaming, not the shoulda, coulda, wouldas, not shame or guilt. Instead, in those moments, you get to have compassion for yourself. And when you have that understanding of that defining moment that took you on a different path, that you lost yourself to an extent, you get to bring yourself home. You
Mm.
honor that part of yourself. You love that part of yourself with compassion in your heart for yourself. That's what this journey is all about.
Mm.
That's how we learn how to squeeze the juice.
um,
Because, you've heard this before. I know the two of you have heard it, maybe a few of our viewers, is that even when I made it to a senior vice president role, I sat in that corner office living in the imposter syndrome, scared at times that if the board or the co CEOs found out the truth about me, I'd be whacked, I'd be done. Because somewhere within myself, I didn't feel like I was good enough, I was smart enough. I didn't have a master's degree.
yeah,
And
for
and
me,
that's go ahead, Chris. Yeah.
that showed up in a real sense. I literally had people tell me, "There's no way you can do what you do because you don't have this." I mean, and it became this huge, I mean, just raging chip on my shoulder, and it became this just anger to be like, right, I'm going to prove you. People would say, "Oh, you can't do this," and I'd be like, "Watch this," and it just be, and it was energy used to create, um, I got to create a pretty interesting life, but man, it was rubbing people's nose in it, and I had to be right. I had
Mm.
to be. Let me show you. So,
I'm curious, Chris. In this moment, you got two sons with this new found understanding that you're still deep in. You're still uncovering and discovering parts about yourself that you didn't think you had time to explore. If there is any words of wisdom that you have not shared yet with your young sons? What would you say to them today? What will you say to them today?
I mean, the things that I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that I've left unsaid with them that comes to mind because I'm trying to be so present with them every day. I see you. I believe you. You are the divine. I love you.
Mm.
Who do you want to be? And you are that
Mm.
every day, every day. And that when we are not being who we want to be, that's okay. And we always get to choose different. We always get to shift who we want to be at any given moment. Is this who you want to be right now? Oh, no. I don't want to be mean to my brother. I want to be loving. Okay. Let's choose that. Okay. Off they go. So I'm sure that there's things that I will do wrong and say wrong but I get to come back to those and clean those up. I'm human. I am human. I am human. And I am going to mess things up. And I get to live into that and create joyously from that. Like I'm messing all up some days. It's okay. Great. And let's go on.
Beautiful.
I'm curious, Chris, and then I'm going to put Sunwolf in a hot seat because he's been chilling for too long here.
Yeah.
He's been on ice for a few minutes here, and I'm going to take you off the ice and put you in a hot seat. But I'm curious, Chris. Your sons are under the age of 10. Have, with your shift, as you have embraced a new way to see your life, feel your life, taste your life, learning how to squeeze the juice in your life, have you witnessed or seen a shift in your boys yet?
It was instant. It was instant, man. They picked it up. They picked up so quickly with the
Mm.
changes in me. Instant, man.
So are they feeding off of your energy, or is it the words, is it the unspoken words, or is it both?
All of it, right? We can only be who we are, right? And I choose to be my document and every interaction that I can consciously, it's still a muscle. I'm still working it, right? I fall from it, but I choose to turn back to that as often as I possibly can. I speak it out loud. I am my document, and I speak whatever part of my document that I'm trying to be in that moment. And they hear me say it. They hear me say it. They feel who I am through that. They see the shift, right? There'll be times where I'm like, I am passionate. I am love. I am understanding. I am the father of Asher and Oliver. And they see the boom shift, and they're like, and they
Mm.
understand that it's possible. And they call me out. Dad, is this who you want to be right now?
Really? Those boys have said that to you?
Wow.
100% Asher said that to me.
Mm.
100%. Dad, is this who do you want to be right now?
Oh,
No. Go upstairs. I'll be right back.
Mm.
Wow. Let me ask you that. Let me ask you this: does that put more pressure on you than when you were in your intimate relationship, or is it less coming from your son versus coming from, let's say, your wife?
Oh man, the innocence of a 9-year-old catching you on your trap, like catching you out of living outside of who you declare to be. That's a beautiful moment, man. That's a win for dad right there, man. Like I can go do a victory lap around the block, man. That kid's like, he's got it, man. He's got it.
He's
Let
back.
me ask you this, Chris: are they squeezing the juice yet?
Not yet. Not yet. There's a few things that I have created that I've spoken to them, especially with Asher, about his physical conditioning, his I've spoken, he has had limitations spoken into him around his asthma, his eczema, and stuff like that, is going to be work that's going to be, you know, that's work. So,
Okay. Thank you for sharing your truth. I'm going to shift gears right here, right now. So if I'm going to put you in a hot seat.
Yay!
So we're going to let some of the ice melt because you've been in chill for too long. Um, when we are going through adversity, when you have faced adversity in current or past relationships, even going back to childhood, how do you still squeeze the juice in life when you're going through a breakup or you're going through a courtship, dating as a single man, and then perhaps a woman says, "Nah, I think I think we just should be friends,"
Hmm.
or there's too much stuff there that I don't feel okay with, so I'm out. How do you rise above, or how do you navigate through that and still show up squeezing the juice, or do you retract?
Wow, what a loaded question. I've gotten more no's, rejections in my life than most people in 10 lifetimes. Um, and I've learned to fail forward on my way to self love. And I always go back to self. Um, Gratitude, no matter what, squeezing the juice of life, no matter what. So yes, a lot of rejections. I just couldn't play the game. I'm very interested in the human psyche of people and women, and it was very difficult growing up. I just didn't fit in the scene. I didn't fit in the school system. And later on in life, I've had some major setbacks in terms of investments, some big hits. Um, I gave away a few hundreds of thousands of dollars. I say I gave it away. I don't say I lost it. And did I lose any sleep? Yeah, the first night I lost, I didn't sleep. It was very difficult. But then I realized I have choice. I looked at this, I transmuted that experience, and I raised my hands and said, thank you so much. Thank you. There's a reason, there's a gift here. Thank you so much. They could take everything from me, but they cannot take my heart and soul. So that became stronger and stronger, and realized I could create a whole new currency of life, of self love, no matter what, squeezing the juice, no matter what. Just less than 2 years ago in Mexico, my knapsack was a little bit behind me, gone. 2,000 cash, my phone, my notes, everything except my passport. I was at a bioorganic restaurant, took some deep. First of all, I was just walking back and forth in hysteria. I felt like a shell. And then I realized I got a choice. It's all about choice. I could let it really break me apart, or I could go forward. I had two friends that lent me money, and I decided I am going to create an adventure out of this and have fun and grow into the man that I'm meant to be, because I realized that it helped me take that much more responsibility and really show up in a way like I never have. So what a gift that was. So it was tough in the beginning to, get through and get my bank and, details done with. But once that happened, there was nothing much more I could do except enjoy the moment and enjoy my environment. How would it serve me if I behaved a different way? So the first thing I always ask myself is, where is adversity brings great opportunity. So there's something for me to learn. There's something for me to learn from all the no's and all the yeses, and I thank them. In fact, I had a recent situation with a lady that we had an amazing time. It was a short time, and we she texted me and she says, Son Wolf, I had an amazing time with you. I've learned so much from you. You remind me a little bit about my father. I got triggered. But then she says in a text, I'd rather not see you again. Was I blindsided? Not really. There was some stuff going on a little bit. But here's the thing. How do I respond, or how do we respond to something that someone is at us? What I used to do is I would get defensive and get long-winded and go, all this leakage energy for what? You know what I did, Jay? When I saw the text, I simply sent her a heart. No words, a heart. So what happened was I diminished the leakage of energy. We go through life leaking energy all the time. When we leak energy, we leak joy. There's no time for joy. When we don't have health, how can we have joy? How can we squeeze the juice? It's the dance. We got to bring all these other components. So yes, I've gotten so many, but in the long run, it strengthened me, and I'm unstoppable. And I've learned who I want to gravitate towards. Who is my tribe? Know who your tribe is, and your life will be blessed.
We have a question coming in from one of our co-hosts who's going to hopefully be back next week. Kamalu has a question for you, Sunwolf. He says, Sunwolf, brother, super curious the story of how you acquired such a powerful name and what embodying Sunwolf means to you and for you.
Okay, well, thank you for asking. I'm a sun worshiper. I did not find the name myself. My former partner gave me that name. I was looking for a name, and wolf is my medicine animal. So Sunwolf was perfect. As soon as she said it, I went, oh my God, I just totally embodied it right away. Right away.
I like that. I love that. I'm curious, and I want to thank you, Sunwolf, for sharing a brutal truth. This is a recent relationship, I believe, that you just went through, that you just described. And your response was a heart. Who has had the greatest impact on your mindset? Instead of getting sucked into her vortex of whatever it is that had her pulling away, because perhaps you were a trigger for her, as the way I heard you describe it. Who has had that impact on you in your life that allows you to navigate through it? Yeah, it stings, it hurts, perhaps, but you don't come back fighting. You come back, at least with that heart in that moment, there's a level of acceptance there. And it's a moment of you letting her go with love in your heart, which I believe on some level, you haven't said this to me before, but this is what's coming forward for me. On some level, when you react or respond that way, it opens your heart to let her go without you taking it personally. It's one of the 4 agreements, Don Miguel Ruiz. Don't take things personally, yet we do, as beings having this human experience.
Totally. It was a short relationship, very short, but what I recognized is the fact that the fact that we could not be friends. For me, what's foundational and very, very important, Jay, is have a friendship. No matter, we always want to start off with a friendship, cultivate, and that saddened me quite deeply, that she didn't want to know for me, hear from me, and I totally released and surrendered and honored her for her choice. And then I said, then I'm thinking to myself, boy, she has no idea what she's letting go of, because of who I am and what I'm up. I didn't say anything, but less
Well,
words.
hold on 1 second there.
Yeah.
When you said that to yourself, where was that coming from? Was that coming from the egoic mind, or was that coming from your inner truth?
I knew you would say that. It came from powerful inner truth, because I see what I create and what I put out in the world, and I'm freaking, and I'm finally, not finally, I took myself for granted all for most of my life. I took myself for granted. I didn't realize these were gifts. This was natural. When people would say to me in my teens and early 20s, what is spirituality? 2 words, common sense. I thought everyone had common sense. So it's very, very interesting how I totally dismiss myself, and thought that, I didn't write a book. I don't have all these degrees. I have life experience. And I was very intimidated by people who made a lot of money. I was intimidated. I felt, oh my God, that's a whole nother world. But it's not, like I said, about the money. I just realized that I wanted to come back to source. And source is, who am I? What am I here to accomplish, to contribute? I'm a net weaver. I'm a connector. I'm a giver. I have so many tools and resources that really matter because I cultivated that at a very young age. I say to people too, I say, you know what? I don't know much. I mean, people say, boy, you know a lot, Sunwolf. I really don't know much, but I know where to find the information.
Okay, beautiful.
I
Beautiful.
know
I
where
want
to
to switch
find it.
gears here. I want to switch
Yeah.
gears here. Chris, I'm going to put you back in the hot seat. Question from Shannon Thompson. She asked, what was it like to figure out you're not perfect? It almost crushed me for a little while. What is that? What does this question from Shannon mean for you, Chris?
It's just, I mean,
And how do we
it's a
define
double edge.
perfect anyway? What does perfect
Yeah,
mean?
like that we are perfect, right? And that we are perfectly imperfect. That nothing that we do can actually be, at least in the way that the English uh, dictionary says, perfect, right, without flaw. Uh, it's very interesting. I just was listening to something the other day. I was talking about um, the Latin roots of uh, perf- perfect is really to complete, to finish, and that just really struck me as like, we finish something, we move on. We finish something, we move on. That's perfect. When I get through something, when I complete, when I do the work that needs to get done to have something complete, and then I move on. And so that really like resonated with me, is that there's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as flawless. There is no such thing. Like that's just like some human construct, like time, right? Time is this weird human construct that we've created that really is distance and speed through space, right? There's no such thing as time. There's no such thing as perfect. There's no such thing as flawless. Just some things that we've created that are just wild creations of the human mind, of the human, and if we can, see that energy in ourselves that is connected to everything, and that to truly experience life, we get to mess it all up and make a huge mess of stuff. Um, yeah, and that's how I really get to experience myself, is when I have those fumbles, and how do I react, and how do I interact, and how do I grow? How do I grow from the mistakes I've made?
I love that on so many levels, and I think it's a brilliant question. Thank you for flagging that for me, Chris. Um, I want to share from my perspective what this question means for me today. I spent the majority of my life overcompensating for what I was living in. And what I was living in was that little voice within me on occasion would rear his, I'd hear the audio and it would get louder and louder. And for me, it was no matter what I did, it was never going to be good enough. There was going to be judgment. And it wasn't always judgment from others, it was self judgment. It was judgment that went back to the playground in second grade, in fourth grade. It was how I heard the tone or how I was spoken to in my home at times as a child that affected me. And what squeezing the juice out of life means for me today is the journey of finding your way home to your true, authentic self, not who you think, you think I need to be.
Oh man.
And in doing so, Chris and Sunwolf, you meet your humbled warrior.
Hmm.
No longer the fighting warrior. Did enough of that. The humbled warrior is the man that both of you met. Me. I'm not in a fight anymore. I'm only here to smell life differently, taste life differently, experience things simple things for a child that's very difficult. Tasting something that you don't think you like because of the color, the shape, the smell. How many times as a child were you scared to try something new? Food. Today, there's very few things that I'm not willing to taste, to try, to experience. I witnessed it today with a 5-year-old in the presence of my home. I offered him a ginger cube. And at first he resisted until he saw me take, 3 or 4 cubes. And then something within him sparked. Something within him said, I'm presuming, said, well, what if? What if I fall in love? What if I like this? And you know what happened for that precious little 5-year-old? He had the courage. And the end result was he liked it. He liked it. Remember that old commercial? Mikey liked it? Let Mikey try it. He liked it. Well, his name isn't Mikey, but I tell you what.
That's great.
There is so much freedom in life when we accept that we no longer have to be perfect for anybody. But the most important person to take off that stage of judgment is self-persecution of ourself. And learn how to like yourself and eventually fall in love with who you are, your true authentic self. It's a journey. It's a beautiful way to experience life. And I believe this is a journey that you've embraced, Chris, in your life today. And it's a journey that I want to invite you to never abandon for the rest of your life. As long as you are breathing, as long as you are able, stay committed to this journey of self-discovery. That is how we squeeze juice out of life. Once we acknowledge who we are, even when others may criticize us at times, I find myself in a rare moment. It still happens. But in that moment, I have a choice. I either push back, I say no thank you, or I exit out. But it's a new way to live.
Mm.
It's a new way to squeeze the juice out of life. And I tell you what, when I was chasing that dream, I didn't even own a freaking juicer back then, man. I literally did not own a juicer. Today, oh, we got a juicer,
Mm.
and we juice consistently, daily. And my life has changed forever.
Mm.
We have a special guest joining us for about the last 10 minutes of tonight's show. Hopefully, he'll be able to hang in here with us. Hopefully, have a stable connection here. But I want to invite Kamalu to join us. And Kamalu, I'm curious, you've been a viewer listening in for the past 50 minutes or so. What has it been like for you to be a viewer? And welcome to Real Men Real Talk Live in this moment here. What has it been like for
Mm.
you to be here listening?
Uh, so good to just be in receiving mode and to just absorb all the beautiful wisdom all of y'all are sharing. And just being so reminded, like I'm sitting here in my final night in Asheville, about to start driving back to Sedona, and just trying to get the technical situation up and running so I could hop into the studio, but just like pausing during all of that and listening to you guys speak and watching the sunset and looking at this house and just being like, oh,
Squeezing a lot
this
of
is
juice.
never gonna be again. This is never gonna be again. At least not how it is right now. So just taking a moment to appreciate the isness of this moment and yeah, I'm glad it all worked out and I was able to hop in, however briefly here. It's nice
Mm.
to see you guys.
As a man in his second decade of life, how do you embrace squeezing the juice in your life today? What does that look like?
Mm. Well, well, Jay, I think it really comes back to kind of what I was just expressing. Um, Looking around at my life, being present with my thoughts and my beliefs and the way I see the world now, and understanding just from how much has changed for me in my life in my short time here, that this experience of being Kaimalu at the age of 23 is once in a lifetime.
Mhm.
It's never going to be like this again.
Mhm.
I know life is just going to keep elevating and getting better and better and better, but it's never going to be what it is right now. And um, that gives me a lot of excitement for whatever the journey has in store. But I think it's also really, really important to recognize how beautiful this part of the journey is. Because if I'm so caught up in worrying about, the end goal or the destination, um, I'm missing out on the the beauty and the joy and all the wonderful connections and the people that are here with me right now. And um, there's a lot of really beautiful things happening in my life. I still have goals, I still have dreams, but um, there's a lot of really beautiful things to be grateful for here right now. And so I simultaneously hold that knowing of things are just going to keep getting better with a deep appreciation for all the beautiful things I have right now and all the painful things I have right now, because that's part of it too.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Mm.
There is almost a 50-year variance or difference between you and Sunwolf.
I was just thinking of that.
Yeah. And 49 years or 49 and a half years or so without being too technical here. But I'm curious, what has it been like for you to witness having Sunwolf join us tonight and hearing him speak some significant truths that he's experienced? Um,
Hmm.
what has resonated with you most?
Mm. Well, firstly, I say, even so, even though there is this big age gap between us, brother man has some really youthful energy. And yeah, I would not have all guessed that he is this much older than I. I think one of the things that really stood out was talking about talking about the learning process of relationships and rejection and foundations for this. Um, I've I've experienced both sides of that and have been exploring a lot of that recently. This is part of what I enjoy about being 23. um, but yeah, what I'm finding and what I've heard Sunwolf express too that really resonates is, you know, there's a certain resonance that we have with certain people, and there's a um, hmm, I don't know if disresonance is quite the right word, but we all have our own unique flavor, and it's not everybody's taste, and it doesn't have to be okay, because the
No.
people who are actually supposed to be in deep connection and relationship with, it's gonna fit together and flow together very easily and effortlessly. And um, one of the things that I've been learning recently is that I deserve to also be equally pursued as much as I pursue the people that I'm interested in. I also deserve to receive that energy.
I
And the
like,
people
I like
who actually are meant to fill those roles and relationships in my life are going to do that.
Beautiful.
I
Beautiful.
like.
I want
Thank
to
you.
switch gears right here as we're approaching the hour. We're going to go over a little bit tonight, and I'm okay with that. If you guys are okay with that, just a bit over. But I want to ask this question of each one of you to answer it in your own words. What role does mindset, nutrition, and physical activity play in embracing squeezing the juice in life? Who wants to jump in first? Sunwolf or Chris? One of you two.
I'll jump in because I'll be really quick. I don't have a lot of experience in, as I shared with you guys, like that is the big hole in my uh where I'm at, right? I don't have a lot of understanding of nutrition and physical fitness. I've allowed myself to not be very healthy, and that is something I want to step more powerfully into. Mindset, on the other hand, I am getting a really good grasp on that, and for me, it can change everything. It is everything for me. I mean, mindset gives me the ability to step into the physical fitness. It gives me the ability to step into being more healthy. So, who I am and what I am creating and who I am being um, is the foundation. The initial spark from where all creation comes from.
Beautiful. Sunwolf.
Wow. Holy Toledo, we gotta be healthy and have. I mean, your attitude is your altitude. I think in order to be healthy and happy and fit, we gotta have, like Chris says, the mindset. You gotta have the right thoughts, uh, the right intentions. What's really important for me, I want to be able to move. You know, I want to die a wall person. I want to be able to move all the time. I have a basketball in my trunk. I got a baseball, two gloves. I got a paddleball in my trunk. I just played ball with this young kid. You never know who I'm going to find out there. Uh, so it's really important. When you have all these components, you could squeeze so much more juice and be limber. And talking about being limber, that's another part of squeezing the juice. If I'm in a post office line or in a grocery store or whatever, health food store, I'm always kind of moving and doing things. Do people look at me funny? Yes. Do I care? Absolutely not. I don't give a darn what they think. But movement and taking those opportunities, I do figure eights. and it's the key. Yeah, I'm known as a superfood, the whimsical superfood bartender. So food is my medicine. My medicine is your food, and they all go together. You don't want to put good wine in a dirty bottle. You want to, it's got to fit. You can't have one without the other. It's the famous triangle of overall wellness.
I will say this: you do play a mean game of pickleball,
All right.
and I know how much physical activity is important for you in your life. If you're not moving, you're not grooving, and if you're not grooving, you're dying.
Right.
And I mean, I've witnessed you. I've been on a court with you. Although I don't think we played basketball really. We haven't played a game one on one. Maybe that's your next visit to Sedona.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
been
we
a
got to
while
do that.
since I've done that.
We got to do that. I love it.
But
You get in a
I
mood.
will. Yeah, there you go. Kamalu, what role does mindset, nutrition, and physical activity play in squeezing the juice in your life today?
Nutrition and health and wellness has been a major focus of the last year of my life. Some certain health conditions really jump started my journey on that. But the mindset that I've held onto throughout all of it is that I get to do these things. I get to heal my body. I get to eat well. I get to exercise. And kind of shifting the mindset away from these things as a chore or as something I should do, and actually like finding ways to enjoy it, and then realizing that I feel a lot better and just naturally have a better mindset when I do. So I've never been super interested in spending a lot of time in the gym. That's just never really been my thing, even though at points in time I thought I should because I'm a guy. I really enjoy dancing. Ecstatic dance is one of my main exercises. Playing basketball is one of my main exercises. And there's ways to engage with, I think, all three of these things in a way that is fun. And we actually get the opportunity. We are blessed enough to get the opportunity to explore all these different themes and figure out what we enjoy and what we don't, and figure out what works for our bodies and what doesn't. And there's not one path or journey I've found that's really true for everybody. It's such a unique, personal thing on all three levels. And that way, it's really beautiful that we just get to explore and figure out who we are and what works well for us.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, Kamalu, I want to welcome you back. It's been some time here since we've had you live.
Yes.
I want to take a moment here to again thank Sunwolf for making a special guest appearance on his first Real Men Real Talk Live episode. Sunwolf, I want to invite you because you know how I am. I like to ask questions. That's part of how I show up today in my life. I want to invite you to ask me a question about squeezing the juice, whatever that feels like or looks like for you. You got one?
Question about, okay, so here's the question, Jay. We talked about squeezing the juice in a macro way. Here's the question. Would you share with me squeezing the juice in a micro way, as an example, in your day-to-day activities, how you squeeze the juice? If you could be as specific as possible, and then I could share with you a couple of pieces after, give you an example of what that looks like.
I didn't know. You mentioned earlier in tonight's episode, you mentioned the word connection, Sunwolf. And that is the most significant part of squeezing the juice for me. First and foremost, connecting with myself. That is the most, I'd say, critical key to the journey of squeezing the juice. It's that own connection with your heart, especially as a man, feeling safe to express what you feel when you feel it, when you see it, to acknowledge it for yourself. And then the second gift after that is I meet strangers. I met a strange man in the grocery store a couple of days ago. He's older than me, but we stopped, we met in an aisle, and he asked me a question, a random question. And that led to, I don't know, I didn't track the time, but it felt like it was 20, 25 minutes conversation. We ended up hugging each other twice.
I love it.
For me, that is what squeezing the juice is about today. It's about the
Totally.
soul connection.
Totally.
It's about connecting with others that understand the language you're speaking or are seeking.
Now that is really squeezing. That is squeezing the juice. Beautiful. I'm saying what you say. Beautiful. It's all about connection. The magic, the feeling, the sensation when we experience that without knowing what's going to happen. Sometimes before I go out and I go, who's going to be the blessed person I'm going to meet? And something always happens.
Yep.
Intention, putting it out to the universe and just sitting back and watching the show. It's incredible. The connections, the people, the stories, and it's in the moment. And that's what squeezing the juice really is. It's like in the moment. The other day I had to bring my car in, I mean, what am I going to do for 2 hours? So there was a park. Okay. So I go to the park. I really got into squeezing the juice there. I went, oh my God, there's grass, there's trees. I took my shoes off, got into some wonderful grounding. There were people playing volleyball. I got into the action. There were sprouts nearby. I went into there and met some wonderful people, had some, mindful communication. And I go, oh my God, this is great. This is wonderful. And I see this guy at the park. He's making these bubbles and we're having a great conversation. So the secret of all this is stay open and be bold. What if we will experience something we never have, and then we would say, let's do it more. Let's create this more and more. And why not? Squeezing the moment in the moment.
Beautiful.
That's how we become seduced.
There you go.
Human juice.
There you go. I love that. We got 2 questions that came in, and I know we're over. We're going to go over a little bit more. I'm going to invite you each to give your perspective if you choose to. One comes from Shalom, and he says, squeeze the juice. Are we here to take or to give? Who wants to answer that one in 1 minute?
Simple. Are we to take or to give? Okay, so we want to actually just give and receive, be able to receive, be able to give as well. I think the big piece is, Shalom, is to be interested, not interesting all the time. To give it or take is creating that fine balance and expressing that interest in that other person.
Meaning, part of this new interpersonal way to show up in relationships is to asking questions, being curious. Don't forget that there's another person listening to you. It's not meant to be a monologue. Life is all about the dialogue.
Not the monologue. Yeah, it's great.
So yeah, it's a give and take. It's a push and pull. It's the energy it's an energy exchange that creates the sweetness in the juice. The other question that Bob Phillips, coming in from Sedona, he's asked it a few different times in a few different ways. And this is his question: does squeezing the juice include plant medicine?
Great question. it could include anything as long as it really speaks to you, and never mind what other people could say about it. It's your resonance with it. It really doesn't matter what it is and what other people think. So does it include plant medicine? It certainly can. Does it have to? No, absolutely not. But in that moment, you better believe it. You want to squeeze that juice. If you put yourself in that particular situation and environment that calls you, go for it.
Chris, any thoughts on that? Have you had just your own perspective at all? And you don't have to. You could say, I pass.
I have no to extremely limited experience with plant medicine, and for me, um, going back to the first question, give or take, I'm just here to be me. I'm just here to experience myself, as the greatest version of me I can possibly be. Um, and yeah, and I find that my answers are always inside of me, and so far the I have no one way or another with that stuff, but it's just every time I get to a spot, that answer is always inside of me. And by talking openly, honestly, authentically with the people in my life, I find those answers. So,
I love that, Chris. There was some significant depth to what you just shared, and it's a debate.
yep.
Plant medicine is debatable for people. It's kind of like, which side of the fence are you on? Some people see it as an access point to access a part of you that you're not able to access without it. So some may call it a shortcut. I will share with you that I've been invited to many journeys, and I have respectfully declined each one. It doesn't mean that I will the next time I'm invited.
Yep.
But in that moment, I choose to respectfully decline. And the reason for me is that I trust that when I'm ready for that next level of understanding, ascension, healing, connecting, it'll come from within me and my relationship with God or divine source. I tried many shortcuts in my life, in every aspect of my life. And it didn't serve me well because most of the time I was trying to control the outcome.
Mm.
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 Because I thought I had to get somewhere faster.
Mm.
How I'm able to squeeze the juice out of my life today is by showing up, but at the same time trusting that when I'm ready to that next massive breakthrough or epiphany, it'll come
Mm.
from within me. Because, listen closely, please, my heart is open today.
Mm.
As a man that feels confident enough and safe enough with myself to express how I feel when I feel it. And trust that when I'm ready, that inner wisdom will blow through me.
Mm.
Just the same way we experience seasons in life, change of weather. We, as human beings, experience seasons as well.
Amen.
And so with my beautiful soul brothers, my friends. Chris is, I think, if I'm correct, I'm going to be in your physical presence just in a couple of days from now, I believe. I think you're going to be in Sedona this Friday. And we're going to jump into the wilderness, if I understand that correctly. We're going to have some time to
Oh,
connect.
wow. And I'll be in San Diego.
Maybe
Wow.
we'll have an opportunity to have a video chat. So you'll see Chris and I connecting
That'd be
physically.
great. That'd be great. I would love that. I would love that. Chris, that would be
Yeah.
great. And I know you're going to come back here and I'll turn you on to an incredible custom-made superfood super shake. Made
Well, wait a minute.
specifically.
Wait a minute. I gotta make. Wait a minute. I want to. You got to make sure that I'm invited to at least
Of
one of those.
course. Well, of
One of
course.
those get-togethers.
Yeah, we've
Is it-
had them before, of course.
Yeah. Every time I go to Sunwolf's home, he's always squeezing the juice, one way or the other. He's either making me a smoothie or a very
You know,
clean smoothie.
It's like making a full course meal, man. When I get into it, it's like in the moment.
Yeah.
Juice.
Well, in any event, I want to take a moment here as we close out tonight's show. I want to first and foremost thank each one of you for showing up tonight, speaking your truth, sharing all of the truth that you felt comfortable sharing tonight. Moments of vulnerability that was amazing, outstanding. I want to thank Kamalu for making a short surprise guest appearance. And wow, my heart is full in this moment. My heart is full because right here, right now, we squeezed the juice together. Right? Right, Chris?
Absolutely, man.
And I don't know what you guys got planned for tonight, but I know we're going to be celebrating someone's birthday. Mary made a homemade, gluten-free, dairy-free, amazing matcha cheesecake for a guest that's about to show up shortly.
Wow.
We're going to celebrate and honor her birthday this evening.
Wow.
But in the meantime, viewers, thank you for asking us some questions this evening. Thank you for joining us. And like I asked, if you were inspired by something you heard tonight, please share tonight's show with your friends and family. And on that note, I want to thank all of you for joining us tonight. Come back next week on Real Men, Real Talk, Live!